What's up, family? It is Caden here with Urban Finance. I am super excited about our conversation today. I am here with my brother, Devon Livingston.
What's
He
going
is
on, bro?
Mr. Make It Happen, the owner of Loose and Tone Fitness. And so I'm really excited about this conversation as we are getting into the new year. But as I always say, as we're coming in, if you jump in, just let us know, say hi, say what's up. And throughout the entire conversation, if you have any comments at all, let us know in the comment section. We'll bring it up on the screen and I'll ask Devon. So, Devon, can you tell the folks a little bit about yourself?
What's going on, bro? First off, I'm happy to be here. My name is Davon Livingston. I go by Mr. Make It Happen on Instagram. I am I'm a motivator. I'm a leader. I'm a personal trainer and coach. I've been running my business now for 14 years. It's called Lose and Tone Fitness, and where I bring holistic health and fitness to our community. The three pillars of health and wellness, and that's through the spiritual, the physical, and the mental. And I try to bring that into my program through motivational quotes, through nutrition, and through the fitness that I do. So I'm just here to really serve, to really help people, and that's my mission, bro. That's my mission, to give back and to really serve people.
I love that. I love that, man. And so I'm excited for our conversation. We're going to be talking about how to set the perfect New Year resolution. And anyone that's on this channel know that we're typically talking about personal finance. But one of the things that I've always feel is like fitness goals and finance goals are one in the same almost. And to be honest, I've always felt that fitness goals were harder than finance goals. And so if I'm talking to a fitness master, all of those things that can apply in the fitness aspect, health and fitness sphere, I believe can easily translate to any other areas of your life, like Devon was saying. And so I'm really excited to kind of get into this conversation right now.
Yeah, absolutely, bro.
And so can you tell us, and I'm always curious to get people's own like personal stories. And so can you tell us what some of your New Year resolutions are, if you have any?
Bro, honestly, I try not to make too many New Year's resolutions, honestly, but one that stood out to me specifically, I'm gonna just put this out here. My goal is my mom has I'm gonna put this out so everyone can hold me accountable, everyone just knows. But my mom probably has about 7 more years until she retires. And my goal is to cut that in half for her. So to allow her to yeah. So I'm gonna put that out. I'm gonna put that out there. I'm gonna say cut it in half. In my mind, I really want to shoot by the end of this year, my mom won't have to work. So that's my goal. So I just backtrack and okay, now what does that look like? You get what I'm saying? So that's, like I said, all seriousness. That would be that is my New Year's resolution. Like, we were talking about it, and I was like, you should just retire right now. I'm like, she's like, no, but I can't. But I'm like, okay, but you will. So yeah. So if I had one New Year's resolution, that's to retire my mom early.
Ooh, I love that, man. I absolutely love that New Year resolution. And just for the folks out there, Devon and I actually went to high school together. He was 1 year ahead of me. But I've always said on my channel, I just love seeing all the things that a lot of my brothers from high school are doing, because they are doing amazing things. And I always also highlight the aspect of fatherhood. Like, I feel like a lot of the dudes from our high school are doing the right things for their children. And so that's a beautiful thing. Right here, you're doing the right thing for your mom. And I think that's a beautiful thing. And so I'll put something out there. I don't know how my mom will feel about this. She watches every one of my videos, so she's gonna know about it. But one of the things that my brother and I actually did, my mom's birthday is December 1st. And so, I called my mom and said, we're either gonna buy you a car for your birthday, or we'll pay off all of your remaining debt. What do you want? And I was actually really happy with her response, because she said, Caden, you guys can pay off the remainder of all of my debt. And so we did that to help my mom become debt free. And I say that, and I say that to say, a lot of us, part of our life goals is to make sure our parents, our mothers, the person that raised us is sitting lovely in life. Now, my mom always talks about retirement, and now we're in a little bit of a tangent, but my mom always talks about retiring. Like she's ready to retire like today.
Yeah.
And so that's one of my desires to help her retire. But now, as a married man, I always say my wife also would like to retire, even
Yeah.
though she's
Yeah.
young, And so I have to retire my wife before I retire my mom. And so that's an even greater incentive to, bust my butt working and do what I have to do. But that's
retire them both at the same time. So we're gonna retire them both at the same time. We're gonna be accountability partners after this. We're gonna both of us. Let's do it.
Man, I'm ready. And so, can you tell us, I guess, if you think there are, what are some differences between finance and fitness goals? Are there differences? What are your thoughts?
You know what? Honestly, I feel like fitness and finance goals go hand in hand. I mean, it's great that you put that together. I mean, you see the shirt that I wore and the thing. Fit is the new rich, and I don't just mean that in a monetary sense, but I mean that in a spiritual sense. You know what I'm saying? I mean that in a way that, when your health is better, you're able to put more out, right? You're able to put out more energy. You're able to, work harder towards your goals, work smarter towards your goals. So I believe that there is a lot of overlap. One thing I probably would say that where finance differs is that our ideas around money are much different than our ideas around fitness and health. And what I mean by that is that it's so kind of like taboo for us to kind of really talk about. And let's be honest, especially in the African American culture, like we don't really talk about our finances. We don't share tips on how to invest. So a lot of us don't know. Well, I'm speaking from my own experience. A lot of people that I either grew up with or friends that they don't really know or they didn't know. Now information is much more accessible, but it's still a thing that we kind of like, we don't really share and talk about finances, and being that we're a part of a population where we're like the most neglected when it comes to things like that. And we can really use this information and this education for all of our generation, not just the ones before us or after us, but I mean ourselves as well. I think that the taboo-ness around finances definitely can change, should change, and just make it more, just like everyone wants a six-pack, everybody wants to lose the weight and things like that. It's like, why can't we all be wealthy? Why can't we all have, why shouldn't we all know how to create generational wealth? I think we're talking about it more now, but really knowing how to implement it is probably the biggest difference. But to your point, there's a lot of habits and overlap that, if you already have in your financial life, you can apply it to your health and fitness life. If you have it in your fitness life, you can be able to, those same disciplines, you can be able to implement and apply to your financial life and goals.
And so kind of going from there, what are some, I guess, things in your fitness life that you usually counsel people who feel like, okay, Devon, I really don't feel like I can do this, or, I tried a little while and I fall off the bandwagon. And so what are some things that you usually counsel people to help them overcome those obstacles?
One of the biggest things I use to help people overcome those obstacles is definitely understanding that you need to have a plan, right? The same way I've made this correlation between the two before. The same way you may or may not have a budget is the same way a financial budget is the same way you need to budget your calories. It's the same way you need to budget. You should budget your personal life, your fitness life. You get what I'm saying? So the two plans go hand in hand. So if you're able to have that same type of discipline, like I said, that same type of discipline in your financial life, in your work life, then we should be able to do that same thing in our personal life. But unfortunately, for a lot of us, and this is where it starts to differ, we tend not to prioritize ourselves. You get what I'm saying? So like we always put ourselves last, we put ourselves second. And, those are some of the things that definitely have to change. So understanding how to make a plan and how does that plan fit into my life? Because let's say you had a fitness goal, for instance, right? And it's like your goal was to lose 20 pounds. Now there's a couple ways that you can do that. You can lose, You know, some people might say, oh, I'm going to lose 5 pounds a week for the next four weeks. Someone might say, you know, I'm going to try to lose 1 pound a week for the next 20 weeks. So how you go about it is your specific plan. So, you know, that's the difference. You know, you should be able to make a plan and come up with something that fits into your lifestyle. Just like you're making a budget. You know, if your goal is to put away 6 months of emergency funds, you know, some people might say, well, I only have $100 after paying my bills and paying the necessities. Well, all right, well, do that until you got 6 months worth saved up. You know, someone else may have a couple hundred or $1,000, or so whatever you have is what your plan will consist of.
No, I actually never really thought about it like that, but I love, and I don't think it's ever hit home to me like that. But I love the fact that you compared it to making a budget. You know, my wife and I actually yesterday, a little late, but yesterday we sat down and made our budget for the entire year. So we do a yearly budget, and so we sat down and made the budget for the entire year. And so we know exactly our saving goals. We know how much we're spending. We know how much needs to go back in the emergency fund. We know how much we're spending on gifts. We even planned for next Christmas already. All of that is accounted in our annual budget. It's detailed. It's written. If we go off track, we will know that we're off track month by month.
Love it.
And so it is very detailed. But, you know, for me in my fitness life, you know, I don't have nothing like that. And when you were originally talking, I was thinking to myself, I put my fitness at a higher degree than my finances, you know, because I feel like our body, how we keep ourselves, both mental, physical, and spiritual health, those are some of the most important things in life.
Absolutely.
You know, even more important than finance and money. But I spent a lot of hours planning my finances. I spent a lot of hours budgeting, but I don't spend nearly that amount of time. I don't know if you can hear me. I think my camera looks frozen on my end.
I can hear you. Can you hear me as well?
Yeah. Do I look frozen to you?
Yeah, you do. Do I look frozen?
No, you look fine.
Okay.
Let me see if I can.
So good. These just
technical difficulties. I'll ask you a question, put you on the screen while I try to fix my frozen screen.
Absolutely.
And so what makes you so successful at accomplishing your goals?
Yeah, so just the same thing that you said, and I love the fact that you said that. My wife and I we're definitely gonna do that again this year. We just close out the year by buying our first multifamily investment. So we just did that, bought a multifamily home. It's something that we wanted to do for some years now. So definitely, you know, having that budget and just sitting down and understanding like where our finances are and what we're doing has helped us. So budgeting has definitely helped us. So I think one of the key things that I explain to my clients and try to get them to understand is that you have to have a plan. So it's great to have a goal, right? So one of the exercises that I do is on a sheet of paper, right in the middle of a sheet of paper, you write down your goal. Your goal could be whatever you want it to be. You know, we can use this for health and wellness. If it's a weight loss goal, let's say you want to lose, again, 20 pounds, you put that in the middle of a sheet of paper, right? Up right above that goal, you put the reason why, because the reason why is going to keep you motivated during times. That's going to keep you committed during the times when, you know, you no longer feel that same drive and motivation every single time, right? And then under your goal, you put your plan. That's you start with the resources that you have, and you start to implement that plan, the first 3 steps of that plan. So I'm big on writing things down, creating a plan, creating a schedule, and looking at someone's entire day and saying, okay, well, this is where I can fit in. This is where I can fit in my exercise. This is where it's going to be best for me. You know, because what good is a plan if you can't stick to it? You know, so it's not just what to do, it's how to implement it. You know, so someone can give you a meal plan right now, or the best fitness to get you in the best shape of life. But if it doesn't fit into your lifestyle, if it doesn't fit into the time that you have available, or even, you know, fit the skill set that you have right now, you know. So for everyone with a New Year's resolution that may say that wasn't working out at all in 2021, and now for 2022, they're like, you know what, I'm gonna start going to the gym 4 days a week, 5 days a week. that's a pretty ambitious goal. Like that's really
Yeah.
good, but you may not be ready for that. So your plan should fit your plan should fit the level that you're at right now. So maybe only once or twice going to the day and making it realistic, So coming up with a realistic plan has definitely helped me to hit some of my goals. So yeah, I want to retire my mom. So the way it's looking, retiring her is a big feat all in itself. You know what I'm saying? It's as big as I make it. But doing it in 3 years is one thing, but doing it in another year is like, okay, we got to see what type of things I need to put in place, and am I even willing to put in that type of work to do that? So I think that's
yeah, no, and I'd like to touch on that as my screen cut off again. But if you're watching live, let us know if you have a written plan, either as a fitness plan or a written budget. Let us know in the comment section, yes or no. Do you have a written plan? And so I'll ask you in a level of transparency. Do you have a written plan to retire your mom?
I do not have a written plan to retire my mom. I approximately know what her number is. We haven't spoken about the number that she needs to retire, but I know what things I need to put in place in order to hit that number.
No,
right. So I know what things I need to put in place to hit that number. I know what that looks like. I know how many clients. I know what systems need to put in place to hit that number. I know if I'm doing it online, if I'm doing it in person, what other type of financial vehicles, I need to put my money in, how much you should be making on a monthly basis in order to do that, so.
Yeah, no, that's not. And so so you seem like this goal is a pretty big goal. So do you usually counsel clients to set big goals or small goals? How do you feel like people should set their goal? Should it be big goals or small goals? What are your thoughts there?
I feel like the goal should be as big as you possibly can imagine it. I think the plan is where the realistic part comes in, right? So if your goal is something that you like, okay, your goal might be where you want to hit after it's all said and done, right? Your goal, let's say, again, just to make it simple, let's say someone on here has a 50-pound weight loss goal. That's a significant amount of weight to lose, right? The reason why is going to be even bigger than that. So the reason why it could be your health. I want to be around for my grandchildren. I want to be around for my children growing up. My health is at stake. Those are, I call them non-negotiables. Like those are unconditional reasons why, right? Like that's even bigger than your goal. Like your goal may be what you see. The goal may be something that you see, but your why is something that you feel. And that's going to keep you going much longer. Now your plan is realistic. Your plan is using the resources that you have right now to come up with a game plan, some action items. You get what I'm saying? So in order to lose that 50 pounds, what do you have to do? Number one, you have to lose 1 pound. You got it? So what can I do right now to help me lose 1 pound? And that's where your plan becomes very realistic. So you may have your goal. Your goal is your destination, right? When you plug in a destination on GPS, right? And you see it says 20 minutes away, 30 minutes away, whatever the time is, you're not so much focused on the destination unless you have to get this somewhere, but just stay with me if you will. If your destination is 100 miles, you're not worried about that. You're worried about the next step. Like, where's the next turn at? Like, that's what I want to know, Siri. Where's the next turn? What's the next exit I need to get off? So I feel like although the goal may be a destination that you can't see right now, the plan and the steps that you take, you can see those. And those are more important because as you start to knock out each step and the plan one step at a time, then you're getting a little bit closer and closer and closer and closer. And then you see that ETA start to drop. And then you see the money, the funds in your account start to go up. And then you slowly start to see the weight go down on a scale. So each one of those steps are just as important as you hitting your final destination.
No, I absolutely love that. And really, I'm definitely someone who, like, when I'm looking at the GPS, I'm literally just looking for the next turn,
Bro, you just all you doing is looking for the next turn. Like, you know what I'm saying? You because let me put it like this. And for anybody that's tuned in right now watching this, if you get nothing else from this live, like the person who you are right now and the person who you become as you take the steps and go on your journey is someone totally different. Like the person I'm going to have to become in order to retire my mom, I don't even know what that person looks like right now because
Oh,
I'm not
wow.
that person. You get what I'm saying? If I wanted to become a professional athlete right now, right?
Yeah.
Like I would have to put in hours and hours and hours of practice. By the time I'm finished, I'm going to be so much more conditioned than I am right now. I don't even know what that feels like. But as I take the steps, I'm getting more and more conditioned. I'm becoming a new person every single time. So it doesn't matter how big the goal is, as long as you take the steps. And the steps could be the steps could be 100 steps. You know what I'm saying? Your destination might be 100 miles away, but
Yeah.
as you take each turn, you get a little bit closer. You're like, oh, I'm a little bit closer. Like I've picked up some resources along the way. I've learned some new tools. I've developed some new skills. I know how to use these new tools, you know? So I think that is a major thing. So, you know, when it comes to finance, before we bought our home, I had no idea what PMI was before I went through the home buying process. I had no idea what that was. I had no idea that there was realtor fees and that you get what I'm saying? So there's certain things that along the journey, like you don't even know. Like don't get hung up on step 10 when you're only at step 2. You get what I'm saying? Like don't let step 10 like hold you back and keep you scared and give you analysis paralysis and make you not move forward because you haven't learned that. You get what I'm saying? That's like expecting a baby to know how to run. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like,
no, I love that, man. There's something.
You have to go, like, there's something about, and I know how as cliche as it may sound, you have to go through the process. Like, you're going to grow through the process. So your goal could be as big, as vast as you want it. As long as you have the steps and you know the right steps to take and you're being realistic with the resources that you have, you will become that person that you need to become in order to hit that goal that you want to hit.
And so I'll ask this question and then I'll make a comment. So, you know, how do we become that person?
Ooh.
Like, you know, and how do we become that person? And so before I'll go back, so a comment that I was going to say, in the church, we have this saying that God don't typically give us the whole picture, because if he did, we would never want to go on the journey, you know? And it's like, as we go on this journey, you know, God removes certain obstacles that's on this journey from us, or he may help us to overcome those obstacles.
Absolutely.
But just seeing the entire pictures with those obstacles in it would absolutely freak us out. And I love what you were saying, that, you know, we're not the person that we'll have to become to hit some of our goals, especially if it's huge goals. Because if you're like, okay, Caden, if you want to lose, let's say, 20 pounds,
right,
you'll have to be doing 100 push-ups a day. And you just say that, right? And or 100 push-ups in the morning, in the afternoon, and in the night, you know. But in your plan for me, you have me starting at 5 push-ups on the first week, and 20 push-ups on the second month, and 30 push-ups, you know, and it's gradually increasing. But you know, just hearing that, you know, you have to do 100 push-ups may sound overly aggressive, and you may give them, say, oh, I can't do that. But if you're doing it piece by piece and eventually working yourself up to that person that can do that 100 push-ups, then it doesn't seem as aggressive. And so I actually love that idea of we're not even the person that we need to be, that we will be when we accomplish some of the amazing things that we plan to accomplish.
Yeah, bro.
I mean, that sermon, that's a good word right there.
Yeah, bro. Like, let me know when you do. Let me know when you do. Bro. I need to be there.
I'll give you some of the credit. I'll give you some. And so,
I don't even listen. You know what? And this is totally fine. It might be a little off tangent, but what we're doing and who we are, like, bro, this is bigger than both of us. So the message, like, I call what I'm doing, like, people that know me know, like, I call what I'm doing movement ministry. So like, this is not even my words. Like, this is coming from something higher, a higher power than me. You get what I'm saying, bro? Like, this, I'm just serving on the level that I know to serve. You get what I'm saying? But same concept. If everything that we have right now, this camera, whatever, at some point was like a thought in somebody's head. So the fact that you have this goal on your mind, in your heart, whatever it is, like, that is already enough to start to implement something and go after it. You get what I'm saying? Like, right now we're living through a time when people are like traveling to other planets and things like this is all a thought in someone's head. So again, the goal could be as vast as you want it to be, but you have to be in control of the steps that you take. You know, I think for a lot of people right now, because we live in an information era, we can
Mhm.
look things up and go online. Like, you know, it's so easy to become absorbed in all the information and all the
Yeah.
things that we need to do. And there's so much out there. But if you just take one thing and just focus on it. So back to your original question about
Mhm.
how do you become, if you just take one thing and just focus on it, like I'm just laser focused right now. So back to the
Mm.
question about I'm laser focused on certain things. I don't watch a whole lot of TV. I barely watch TV. If I watch
Mm.
maybe 4 hours of TV for the week, like like that's a lot, you know. Uh,
Mm.
I'm constantly reading and writing things down. So we have to adopt new habits in
Mm.
order to think on that level. So if first off, if you're someone that is thinking from not an abundance mindset, if you're thinking like, oh, what if it doesn't work? So the first thing is changing your mindset.
Mhm.
You cannot think at any point that what you're trying to accomplish is going to fail.
Yeah. Yeah.
If that's the case, what you already thought is the action that you're going to put into whatever you're trying to do. So that's the first thing. So how do you become? Reading the right things, but
Mhm.
then also implement all of the education and all the knowledge that you've learned, you know, a wisdom, applying all of it, right? Getting in the right environment, getting around people that are doing the things that you aspire to do, getting a mentor, getting a
Mm.
coach. Like, these are all of the ways that we become, because a lot of times there are people around us that we trust and love that see things in us that we don't even see in ourselves. So having the right
Mm.
environment around you is big. So all of these things are all ways that we become more, think more of ourselves, so that we can actually do more.
Awesome. Thank you. And so if you're watching live now, well, first and foremost, go ahead and smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm, or if you're on Facebook. But also, if you have any questions for Devon related to fitness, related to goal setting, or
Yeah,
any other questions that you may have for him, let us know in the
drop
comment
those questions.
section, and
Drop those questions in the
I'll be
comment
sure
section.
to ask it to him, because this is really good stuff. And like I said, I think the first big realization for me was that piece about I don't have any written fitness goals,
Yeah,
and I say it's important to me, and I don't have any written fitness goals. And there's no client that I'll ever counsel and tell them that they will be extremely successful in their finances without having written goals, a written strategy, which is the budget, and knowing their numbers. I'm big on knowing your
absolutely.
numbers. So whatever goal you have, what are the micro numbers to get to those particular goals.
Yeah,
And so I guess for me, sometimes when I think about my fitness, because I've been going to the gym before December 24th, when my gym took a brief break, 5 times a week. I was going 5 times a week. And
nice.
then on the 24th, my gym, which is a part of my condo complex, they closed on the 24th and the 25th, and I haven't
Mm.
been back since. Um,
It's all good, bro. It's all good. It's all good.
and I haven't been back since. And I always tell my wife, once, for whatever reason, once my schedule is interrupted, it's hard to really start back.
Yeah,
Uh, but I was even thinking today, I have a son, I work, I do this, I do that, it feels hard to fit it in. But
yeah.
then I was like, how many hours of TV did you watch yesterday?
Right, right.
You know?
And then
And I
and
was
then and then and I'm sorry to cut you off, but the other question is, okay, I got all of those things, but what do you have? What time do I have?
mm,
You get what
mm.
I'm saying? So again, it's just retraining and not saying you specifically, but you brought up a good point,
But
because
me
I guess,
too. You can scold me. You can
okay,
scold
cool. You too. You who I'm talking to. So anybody else is in Caden's boat as well.
mm,
It's okay, but what resources do I have that are accessible to me? Do I have a yoga mat in my house? Do I have a floor? I always ask my clients that. I'm like, do you have a floor at home? Do you have enough space to walk around? So
mm,
do I have online resources? Can I join the gym? Can I go to the gym at least once, twice, or 3 times for the week?
mm,
So again, I think that if we put more emphasis on the things that we actually do have, and the resources that we actually can use,
mm,
we'll understand that we have a lot more than we think that we don't. We have a lot
mm,
more to get started than we think that we don't.
mm,
And then you said something else before too. You was like, "Oh, I fell off because it was closed on the 24th and 25th." One thing I do tell my clients is to plan plan for distractions. Plan
mm.
plan for off meals, right? If you already know that when you come home, there's your spouse, your children. I'm already gonna be feeling kind of tired and things like that. Maybe working out in the afternoon time may not be your thing. As much of a non-morning person that you may be, you might have to make the sacrifice and get up at 45 minutes, 30 minutes before your normal alarm clock to get that workout in. Because that's always the first thing I get from people, like, oh, I can't, you know what? In the evening time, I can't do this because my kids, my spouse. All right, I'm like, so let's do it first thing in the morning then.
Yeah.
Let's do it at 5 a.m., 5:30. But then my sleep will be well then we just got to work backwards. Well, then that means you got to get to bed a little bit earlier. If you don't have whatever you don't have, you don't have, so you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
Whatever time you don't have, whatever resource you already don't have it, so you don't have to worry about it. So if you can't do it because the spouse, I got tutoring, I gotta pick up the kids, I gotta make food, I gotta make sure the homework is done. Well, then that means you gotta get up early, bro. That queen, king. That means you gotta get up a little bit earlier. If you're worth it, if your goals are big enough, if your why is that important, you gotta get up earlier. So we have to tap into the resource that we do have, and we have to plan for those distractions. So if you know on the weekends there's brunch coming up and things like that, maybe you gotta say no. Maybe you gotta look at the menu before you go out. You gotta eat breakfast. Don't go out hungry. You get what I'm saying? You know your mom's gonna probably pack you, tell you home with a plate. So you can't go over to the family house hungry. You get what I'm saying? You can't go on vacation and not pack your clothes and pack your workout clothes. So we gotta plan for distractions.
No, I love that. And so I guess a quick question. Do you think people make too much excuses in life as it relates to their goals?
Oh, do people make too much excuses?
Too much excuses.
Excuses are tools used by the weak and incompetent.
You just hurt somebody's feelings.
Excuses are tools used by the weak and incompetent. I know there's more to that quote. They used to build monuments to nothingness and nowhere. Like I know it's like excuses are cool, but again, if we focus on the problem, we'll never find a solution. Like you can't focus on the problem and the solution at the same time. It's either or. One is going to be bigger than the other. You'll always be teeter-tottering between progress and falling back. You know what I'm saying? Success and failure. Like you can't focus on both. Now, it may not happen as fast as you want, but there's no excuse for why you're not starting right now. There's no excuse for why you're not taking the first step. There's no excuse for not going outside and walk. Like there's you get what I'm saying? There's no excuse for you not doing the thing that is so important for you to do. You know, because if the why is that important, there's no excuse for it. People, unfortunately, we're in a time right now. It's a pandemic. Everything that's going on right now is, and people are getting very sick right now, and there's certain precautions that we need to take. But people are still making it work. People are still making it happen. They're telecommuting, they're working remotely. People are still going to work. Why? Because there's still bills that need to get paid. Unless that's a very important why. Like the things and the resources and tools that we get with having money, the things that we have to pay for, those are important. Like, you get what I'm saying? You're not gonna be like, oh, you know what? Let me just take some time off of work and then not pay you. You get what I'm saying? Why? Because it's that important to be able to clothe, feed, and house your family.
Let me read this comment real quick. And I think I made my excuses comment relatively close to when this comment came on. And so just so you know, Donette, they're not related at all. But I'm going to read your comment. I don't have any written weight loss goals, but I do work out constantly. The last year I've been working from home. That made it somewhat difficult to keep the weight off. I'm one person that I always say I did, like at the beginning of the pandemic, I got a COVID-20, and that was added to my dad 30 that I had to wait to lose. And and I did lose it, like I said, because I was working out 5 days a week. Absolutely. But then I had my interruption, and I know from my last interruption, when I have an interruption, the pounds pack on so much faster than they come off. But I'm finished the comment. Even though I work out, I still wasn't moving as much as if I was out the house. Now that's a good point. My wife, she used to walk every day, and she exercised. She has a written plan, but she can't walk as much as she did when she was working out, or working outside of the home now in the winter time. And so I think a lot of people are going through that particular struggle. What are some of your recommendation and advice there for those people?
Absolutely. And I totally recognize that. One of the things I am going to say is that although we may not have as much control over our movement right now, or how much space you may have and things like that, we do control how much we eat. So at the end of the day, God forbid someone ever having to be in a situation where they're in the hospital long term. What they do for people that are there, they drop their calories very low. There may not be a time when you're not working out, but there'll always be a time when you're eating. Like, we need to eat to survive, right? However, food is now more in an abundance than it has ever been before at the touch of a button from our phone, right? So although you may not be moving as much, you have to also eat a whole lot less. You get what I'm saying? And unfortunately, that is one of the things that most people do not get control of, is their eating. And we're so used to being always on the go. We're not mindful, and we're overeating. You get what I'm saying? So yes, I do understand. I totally agree that, especially as it pertains to weight loss, if you're not moving, if you don't have a chance to move, or if you don't have the room to move, like physically move, the space to move, then you have to really get on top of your eating. That is the only way. So same thing, same scenario. If you are in a situation where, let's say someone has a certain amount of expenses, like you said, you do this with finances. You may be spending more when you have a higher paying job, but that's why we need to not only live beneath our means, but like eat beneath our means too. So you can't go out splurging and buying certain things on a weekend when you don't have the income for it. So same thing goes for the calories. You can't go out splurging and binging on food when you're not also burning the amount of calories that you were burning before. And going into the pandemic, going into this, a lot of people were working out so vigorously that they didn't have control. You already didn't have control over your eating going into this pandemic, but you had the workout as a buffer. Now you pick out that buffer, and now eating is here from an all-time high. So that is the difference. So there needs to be more emphasis put on the nutrition portion of the fitness now.
And maybe this may come off as an excuse, but I feel like it's so hard to change your eating habits. And so I'll be honest, as one of the things that I did is I stopped eating as much, and that was relatively easy to do. I still eat the same things, but I stopped eating as much because I was like, because it was getting out of control. And so, but it feels like it's hard to change what you eat, And so I guess, I'm thinking of what I would tell people if they were to tell me, like, it's hard not to spend your money on things you want or something like that. But I guess from a fitness perspective, what would you say to people that's like, I don't feel like I can really change what I eat? Is it to cut even more back on how you eat, or is it to stop making excuses?
So the realistic answer is that, the good thing with food, the good thing with finances is maybe you're not buying, maybe you're not eating the same type of calorie dense food. So one of my things is, if someone's having a hard time, so I'm gonna put it like this: if there are specific foods, right? We're talking about food specifically. If there are certain foods that you may already have allergic reactions to, that you cannot eat because you have IBS, or you have upset stomach or allergies to certain things, you need to cut those foods out completely, because your body's already telling you. So you don't want to keep waking up with hives, or having acid reflux at night, or upset stomach all constantly. So there are certain things that we definitely need to cut out. On the other side of that, when you speak about like, oh, how do I change up my eating? Sometimes I feel like we just need to eat more of. So if your issue is what happens with a lot of clients is when they're coming from areas of overeating, they're used to eating, large quantities of food. Instead of just completely cutting out, I'm like, all right, cool. So let's look at the foods that you are eating, and let's try to have more fibrous foods. Like instead of you having the muffin or the bagel first thing in the morning, or the toast with cream, toast with butter, or having the job has bagels and things like that. Like, let's go for the fruit instead. So if you're telling me that, hey, I'm hungry, it's like, okay, well, let's just find something better for you to eat. Or let's cut back on some of this and eat a little bit more of the nutritious food. So this way you're still just as full, but now you have more nutrition in you. You have more fiber. So it's going to fill you up the same way as your favorite food will, right? Or if you had as much of your favorite food, but you're eating something a little bit more nutritious, you're going to feel better with that. You're going to start to see your weight go down as well. So I think that most people have to shift their mindset and how we see food. There are also, we could talk about this too. We could touch on this topic, like traditions in our family. Just because they're tradition don't make them right. You get what I'm saying? So there's certain foods that especially if certain things run in your family, as some run in their family, right? There's certain traditions that we can definitely.
What are some traditions? Name some of them.
I mean, I come from a Caribbean American family. You get what I'm saying? My mom's family from St. Thomas. My dad's from Antigua. So it's like a lot of carbs, heavy starch. You know what I'm saying? And dumpling and whatever you call it, where you from, bake, Johnny. Like my wife is Trinidadian, so you know what I'm saying. A lot of the doughy, starchy foods, heavy on the rice. You get what I'm saying? Like huge portions. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know if it's passed down from us, like not having, or in African American communities, like my dad used to tell me, like, y'all don't leave this table until everything is gone. So it perpetuates these stereotypes and different things, and it's like, soon as you start losing weight, people are like, oh my God, what's going on with you? Why are you so skinny? Like, what's going on? Are you not eating? Like, so
no.
There's a lot of stereotypes, a lot of traditions. There's a lot of stigmas in our own community that we need to break out of. Like there's certain food that literally people are eating, and their lifestyle is heart disease is still the number one killer among people. Period. Heart disease. You get what I'm saying? And most of it is due to lifestyle. The foods that we eat, the things that we're not doing, the activities that we're not doing, the sugary foods that we drink, the sugary drinks that we have. So, like, let's talk about that. Like, there's a lot of things in our own communities, in our own neighborhoods, in our own families that are really like holding us back. And if we are able to break those traditions as it pertains to food and lifestyle, we would really be healthy. Like, we're talking about generational health. A lot of people are talking about generational wealth right now, but let's start talking about generational health. Like, what is it going to take for you to not pass on the same dis-ease or symptoms that your parents had or have to your children or your children's children? So it has to stop somewhere.
No, I love where this conversation is going now, because I was a chubby little kid, right? And the thing is, and I remember what gave me the most, I used to, from the islands, born in Trinidad. And so I used to have this big plate of rice and chicken and, and all these different starches, like,
right. You know what I'm saying?
And I used to eat all of it. And my family loved it. My uncles, everyone's like, oh, it's a kid, and look how kid, and let's eat that one. It's this big celebratory thing.
Yeah.
But it's the reason that you're fat, is the reason that I was a chubby kid.
Right.
And they celebrate the eating. Even today, people will say, like, if you go out and you don't eat as much, someone will probably comment, you're okay, you're starving yourself, you're on a diet, and sometimes jokingly but kind of offensively. And so there's always kind of been a negative stereotype in the Black community with not eating a lot. And I don't know where it came from. I don't know where it originated from. And it's celebrated to have these big plates of food and see who can finish it. And I love what Carrie said. She said the clean your plate method has promoted obesity. And we still have that. And we're still passing down those traditions like you mentioned. And so should we be trying to get rid of those traditions, and I'll start with this one because this one I think is prevalent for all of us. We give children sometimes more food than they can eat, and then tell them to clean their plate. And as a father myself, I know sometimes kids don't want to eat at all, so
Right.
I'm not denying that. But as someone growing up in a Caribbean culture with a mountain of food before me and still having to clean the plates, we're killing each other. So I guess, what are your thoughts on the clean your plate method that many parents promotes?
So I think that I don't have children yet, but my niece who spends a lot of time with us, one of the things that's most important, and to parents, parent figures, anybody out there, I think the first thing is having healthier relationships with food, us having the right foods in the house, so that the kids who are not who are not working, who don't put the food in the house, have healthier options. That's number one. So I think the parents, the elders, need to understand that, because I I really despise, I don't want to say the word hate, but I don't like it when I may have someone that comes to me and is like, oh, I need to get my child, can you help my child lose weight? Like, I want to sign my child up. And my first question is always, are you signing up with your child? And like, no, it's just them. And then my mind immediately goes to, well, who is feeding this child?
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So it's like, so, your children, again, my mom at her heaviest weight was 324 pounds, right? We didn't touch on this too much. Like, I've seen people in my family die due to complications of diabetes. I see my dad have like a kidney stone, like, attack. It was the craziest thing. It was weird, but not weird, but it was just I was like, wow, like, someone can have a kidney stone and something's up with their kidneys, and from eating too much meat and processed foods and drinking heavily. So I've seen these things attack my family. Is one of the reasons why it has prompted me to do what I do the way I do it in the community I do it. So I know that if I could make the change and difference, other people can too. So I think it goes back to us changing our mindset on these foods, and understanding that, hey, if my children, if my nieces and nephews and younger cousins, if they continue to go this route, they're going to have some of the same ailments that I've seen uncles and grandma and grandpa have, and dad and mom and dad have. You get what I'm saying? So it's like, it's the same thing that goes with our finances. If we don't get good with our finances, if we don't teach good financial practices to our children and children's children and nieces, they're going to have the same issues that some of our parents had, that our grandparents had, and no knock on them. They did the best that they could with the information that they have. You get what I'm saying? But now we're in that information age. We're in that information stage. We know all of these things. So my question is, why aren't we changing habits? And it always goes back to, back home, and we are not eating the same food that our ancestors used to eat. Things are not the same. So when grandma and everybody back home used to have to go walk to the market and go walk in the hot sun back in Trinidad and Antigua and wherever they're from, and there wasn't KFC on every corner. Let's talk about there was no chefette everywhere. You got what I'm saying? When all of these things were happening and people had to, like, go out and, like, really harvest their food, we're talking about a different way of life. You get what I'm saying?
I 100% feel that, because coming from the Caribbean, and this is something, maybe, like I said, my mom watches all my videos, so I don't know how you feel about this comment, but I don't think, and I've always said that I don't think I've ever ate a salad in the Caribbean.
No.
Like really, we're growing up in the Caribbean. I don't think I've ever. I'm sure they have salad now,
right?
But I don't think I've ever eat a salad. And when I think about green,
there was other greens. You know what I'm saying? You eating
callaloo is the only green I remember eating in the Caribbean.
But I mean, you eating spinach. You know what I'm saying? Chickpeas. Like, there's so many.
Yeah, but that's what I was gonna say. That's the comment that I was gonna make, and not in a good way. Not in a good way. But my grandmother generation, they grew up on a lot of starches, breadfruits, cassava, rice. But they didn't have all of the junk like you were mentioning. They didn't have snacks. They were snacking on apples if they can get an apple, not on apples, mangoes, and pumaracks and stuff like
Tropical
that.
fruits.
But they didn't have
fruits,
any
right.
junk food like that. And sometimes we're holding on to the culture and saying, my grandparents, like you mentioned, ate like this, but they didn't eat the junk you're eating as well. They didn't have none of that. And a lot of times they walked to and picked, like you mentioned. And so I think, sometimes I feel like people, need the right information, like you're giving right now, to say that, yes, your grandparents may have ate some of the stuff that you're eating, but they didn't eat all the other crap that you're eating. And it makes a huge difference.
And they didn't eat it in the same way. My grandmother, God rest her, she passed away last year. My grandmother, I never seen my grandmother use a microwave. My grandmother did not use a microwave for nothing. If it was in a package, unless it was like Lipton tea or something like that, she was not eating it if it was in a package. Everything was so like beans in a can and things like that. She wasn't even messing with that. Even here, you get what I'm saying? So again, we have to not make excuses for the traditions that we want to continue to have with the new processed foods or with the new way of life that we have now, because they are not the same. So in order for you to eat the same way that your parents had, you would have to go to a farmer's market nowadays. You get what I'm saying? Do we have much access to farmer's markets? Depending on where you live, you may or may not. Now we have things like Trader Joe's and Whole Foods. And then the next conversation becomes, well, those things cost so much money. So it leads us down a rabbit hole of other things. But to come back to the original part was like, we need to stop making excuses for why we're not breaking the traditions that are holding us back in the first place, for the things that are holding us back in the first place. Yes. Now, don't get me wrong. I love tradition just like anybody else does, right? But when traditions are every night, like there's certain, like we shouldn't be having Sunday dinner on Wednesday. You know what I'm saying? There's certain things that you would eat, on the weekend that you don't eat every day. Meanwhile, we're eating like that. We eat like that for lunch on a Thursday Thursday afternoon via Uber Eats. You get what I'm saying?
No, and I always say, Carrie must be either from Trinidad or the Caribbean.
Carrie's from Barbados.
She said that would mean hot tub food on the stove.
Carrie's Asian. Shout out to Carrie. Shout out to Carrie. Shout
out to the Bajans too. Shout out to the Bajan crew.
246 crew, heavy in the building.
A lot of Bajans in Boston. But I was gonna say that, and I kind of lost my thought. And what's up to Tasha Brown too, who's in the comment section, as well. I think it's a lot different, and we need to get a handle on the tradition.
Again, we just have to. I think bringing it back in. I think we just need to identify what barriers we are facing right now. I think that's the most important thing, and being mindful. I'm not telling anyone not to eat your favorite home cooked foods, and food is such a eating food is such a spiritual thing, right? It brings back memories, the smells, how we make it, we pass on tradition. So never forget that. But there's also a best practice of how we should do that. You get what I'm saying? Same thing with finance. Like, oh, what I shouldn't enjoy myself. I shouldn't pay myself back first. There's a fine line between paying yourself back and wanting to reward yourself and overindulgence. You get what I'm saying? And that goes with food and your finance.
The line is actually pretty clear, I think, on both of them, and we be doing it horrible jobs. I know I can eat better, so I'm speaking to myself mostly.
Absolutely.
But one of the other thing that I was saying, even like and thinking about Caribbean mac and cheese, like I always people always play Caribbean mac and cheese. Because growing up in the Caribbean, you really didn't have that much cheese in your mac and cheese. I always tell my mom, now, today, like, is that because we just didn't want to put any cheese, or we couldn't afford to put a lot of cheese? The same thing when I came to the States, like our peanut butter, and you like things sometimes how you grew up with it. Our peanut butter and jelly had like one sliver of peanut butter. It's barely any peanut butter on the bread. And like I said, I never know if it's like we just couldn't afford peanut butter that much, so we weren't wasting it. And that's the other portion of it. Our grandparents and some of them, their portion sizes were different because
way different, bro.
the availability of stuff was a lot different, you know. And like I said, I can't say it was because we couldn't afford to put more peanut butter on the bread, because I don't know, you know, maybe we just liked it like that. But you know, I know that there was a lot less. I think that may be the reason now looking
Yeah.
back at it, but who knows?
Well, one of the, I could tell you definitely because I've researched and I do study things like this. But one of the reasons also being is that before, like I said again, the food is different. Before we used to eat more whole foods. We used to eat more whole food. So like all the things you name, yam, cassava, you know what I'm saying? If you eat callaloo, like those are all vegetable, those are all root vegetables. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But now there's things, now we can have pizza, now we can have pasta. These foods are very high calorie dense with little nutritional value. So nowadays, and then we have all the sugary drinks. You get what I'm saying? If you wanted something sweet before, like I'm sure they had to have like fruit juice, like you cut a coconut open it. You know what I'm saying? Like if we want to talk about stuff like, before we started getting more industrialized, I mean, this is a totally different conversation, but the fact that there's so many things that are laden with, if you just look at the package of everything, most foods in packages have sugar in them. Sugar is one of the number one most addictive ingredients. Sugar, however you want to, agave, sucralose, whatever you want to call it, whatever it is, it's in food to make us want it more. You get what I'm saying? So it's almost like we have this is why people have more and more food addictions now than ever before. And so we're always chasing that feeling of being gorged and having more food. You get what I'm saying? So there's actually a study that's out about that. But the reason being is the food. The food is not the same, and we must get back to eating more nutritionally dense food, eating food how it was intended for us to have it, from the earth, from the ground.
Kerry said Morby from the tree bark. But yeah, no, you know, Morby sorrel, even though I do think we put a little more too much sugar in those stuff sometimes.
Right.
But you know, I'm speaking like Morby and sorrel because they're bitter things. But you know, I still think it's better than sometimes, you know,
absolutely
buy it.
Absolutely.
And so, you know, Devon, you know, thank you for the time. I always try to be mindful of the hour, and it's a little after 8. So I guess if someone wants to support what you're doing, how can they go about best supporting you?
Definitely. You could follow me online at Mr. Make It Happen. It's on my Instagram. My website is Lose and Tone Fitness, LOSE, the letter NTONE.com, loseandtone.com. Same thing for Facebook, and also on Instagram as my business page, Lose and Tone Fitness. So like I said, I hope that everyone has gotten a lot out of this live, ask their questions. I thank you for this platform, bro, because people need to have this information, and we definitely need to do a part 2.
Absolutely.
So we definitely need to put that part 2 out there. And like I said, if there's anybody, just as a like closing statement, if there's nothing else that anyone's gotten from this live for 2022, any New Year's resolution, any goal that you have, you must start right now where you are with the resources that you have. 3 things I want you to do. Start right now. Don't put up for tomorrow what you can do today. Where you are, so wherever you are right now with the resources you have is more than enough that you need to get started. So if your goal is going to take you 10 steps, 30 steps, 100 miles to get there, all you need to know is what am I doing next? That's it. So if you need a coach, a mentor, a trainer, something like that, if you need a financial advisor, like that is your next step. If you don't know where to go for the information, for the correct information, go somewhere for the correct information. Get yourself in the right environment around an accountability partner, around people that are going to help you to grow into the direction that you want and not hold you back.
Man, I love it. I love it. Thank you again. I mean, if you want to shout anybody out, I don't know if you have anybody to shout out.
Yeah, everybody that's on here, Kerry, I want to shout out to you. Like just the people that support, that are in your tribe and mine. Let's continue to share this information. What Caden is doing, this urban finances, this is amazing, bro. Like again, same thing. There's so many people with so many great podcasts and platforms that they're using that I wish that we all can just share this information and really start to implement this. So for 2022, this is the year of implementation, bro. Like let's make sure that we're actually putting to good use all this knowledge, all this information that we have, because if we don't, then it's nothing. It's wasted.
Yeah. No, I love that, man. I absolutely love that, and I got a lot of good nuggets out of this. One of those is thinking about what, you know, generational things that I want to pass down from a fitness perspective.
Right.
I have clear written goals generationally. My wife and I talk about our goals in terms of how much wealth we plan to pass down to our children. We have, our whatever you call those. What is it called? A trust, those things like trust and will.
Absolutely.
And, it's written, it's detailed. And I think this is just as important because sometimes we just allow those old traditions to pass down without even thinking about it. A lot of the things that you said as it relates to the way we eat, that relates to our traditions, especially, I think that kind of hit me really hard. It's like, which traditions as it relates to food should I be passing on to my son and which I shouldn't, And so I think they think that was absolutely amazing. And I always say sometimes people just need permission to change. And I think definitely did that for me with those little bit of nuggets. Thank you everyone for joining the live. Thank you, Lori on YouTube, Kerry on Facebook, everyone else in the comment section, Tasha Brown, everyone that left a comment, everyone on Urban Finance or Black Books Animated or my Facebook page or all of Devon friends and community. We couldn't do this without you guys. And, Devon is in the process of retiring his mom, and he'll need y'all support for that too. And so let's make it happen. All right.
That's a fact.